Hello, good morning everybody. I'm Riccardo Rosa, President of UCIMU, and I start to appreciate the presence of the President Ito, President Appendino, Mrs. Bieller, Mrs. Ferrero, Mr. Way, dear guest, good morning again. I would like to welcome on behalf of UCIMU-SISTEMI per PRODURRE, the Italian Association of Italian Manufacturers of Machine Tools, Robots and Automation, which, as you know, promote BIMU. I'm happy to open this meeting, the first of a day full of appointments dedicated to the world of robotics and automation that has found its home right here at Robotics. Exhibitor users together, which is the highest representative of international organization of the sector, from SIRI to IFR to AIXIA to IRIM, have represented on the occasion of its debut. Great appreciation for Robotics, which for this edition can count on even larger number of exhibitors and even rich panel of in-depth meetings. In this regard, we would again like to thank to Mr. Bieller for choosing BIMU as the venue of the annual IFR assembly. This is a matter of great pride for UCIMU, and I can assure you that our team will work hard to further improve the proposal for Robotics at 34th BIMU in 2026. BIMU in 2026 have 70 years old, to which I invite you as of now. Thank you again and welcome.
A warm welcome also from my side. I'm Susanne Bieller. I'm the General Secretary of the International Federation of Robotics, the IFR. It's a great pleasure for us to be here. We had a full day of IFR association meetings yesterday. It was a great occasion to come here and gather during the trade show of BIMU, and in particular the exhibition part of Robotics. We will like to use this opportunity today to first introduce our global statistics to you. We have just recently published the latest data on the global robotics market, and we would like to share some insights on that. That will be presented by our new president, who has been newly elected yesterday, in fact, so it will be his first official act today. And afterwards, we will kick off in a panel discussion on the global robotics market evolution, global trends, and European perspective. Okay, now it's working. So that's our schedule. And afterwards, you will also have the opportunity to ask some questions to the audience or to the panelists. And just a few words for, oops, that was too quick, sorry. On the International Federation of Robotics, for those that are not familiar with our organization, we're a professional non-profit organization established back in 1987. Not as a long tradition and history as UCIMU and SIRI have, but still quite a long tradition for this young and innovative industry. We represent over 3,000 organizations globally and have about 90 direct members, which are robot associations like SIRI, R&D institutes, and also the global robot suppliers, as well as integrators and component suppliers. And our main purpose is to be a communication and networking platform. And among our main activities, we do statistics, which you will just see some results here in a few minutes, and you will also hear more about our part of being the voice of the robotics industry and our policy support, which will be part of the panel discussion afterwards. With that, I would like to hand over to our President Ito.
Hi, good morning. I'm Takayuki Ito, new IFR president. As she mentioned, just elected yesterday, so really it's my first task. So I'm really nervous. Anyway, I really appreciate this opportunity for me to present the latest robot worldwide installation status. Okay, let's start. The new world robotics statistics showed an all-time high in the number of industrial robots automated production around the world. In 2023, the operational stock of industrial robots exceeded the 4 million unit mark and was computed 4.3 million units, an increase of 10%. The global stock showed a continuous growth over the last decades. Since 2018, the operational stock of industrial robots has been increasing by 12% on average each year. Next page, please. Annual installation exceeded 500,000 units for the third consecutive year. The annual installation figure of 541,000 units in 2023 is the second highest in history. Despite challenges in macroeconomic conditions, the installation counts were just 2% lower than the record-setting 553,000 units achieved in 2022 and still exceeded in 2021 result by 3%. Since 2018, annual robot installations increased by 5% on average. Next page, please. Looking at the main customer industries for industrial robots, the automotive industry reclaimed its position as the largest customer of industrial robots in 2023. Demand was keeping at a very high level of 135,000 units, just 600 units shy of the peak level of 136,000 units in 2022. Their share of automotive industry increased to 25%. The electrical and electronics industry dropped to a second place in 2023, as robot installation declined by 20% to 126,000 units. The share in total installation was down 5 percentage points to 23%. The metal and machinery industry established itself as the third largest customer industry with a growth of 16% and accounted for 14% of all installation in 2023. Next slide, please. Okay, then looking at the regions, we see that Asia, the largest region, is accounting for almost 3/4 of the global new installations. Asia suffered from the low demand of electronics industry and the automotive industry. 382,000 units were installed in 2023. It's down 6%. Europe, with a share of 70%, was the only region that registered the growth in 2023, a growth of 9%. Robot installations in Americas exceeded 50,000 units for the third year in a row. 55,000 units were installed in 2023, just 1% below the record level reached in 2022. Next page, please. Okay, let's look into the country level. The top 5 countries, China, Japan, the United States, the Republic of Korea, and Germany, accounted for 78% of the global robot installations. Then Italy follows it. We could touch a little bit more for Italy in the later slide. And China, by far the world's largest market, and 51%, that means more than half of the global installations installed in China. Next page, please. So China, installations in China were still on a very high level. 276,000 units is the second highest level ever recorded, despite being down 5% from the record settings at 290,000 units in 2022. The electrical and electronics industry has been the main customer for the industrial robot in China. The total installations were 77,000 units in 2023. This was down 23% from the record level in 2022. The automotive industry has been the second largest customer industry since 2016. The number of installations reached 65,000 units, a decrease of 12% compared to the peak in 2022. Then the metal and machinery industry, as the third largest customer, grew by 35%. Since 2018, Chinese robot installations grew by 12% on average. Next page, please. Then Japan. Japan remained as the second largest global market for the industrial robots. Robot installations returned to their 2021 level with 46,000 new units. It's down 9% from 2022. This followed 2 strong years, peaking at 50,000 units in 2022, the second best result after 2018. Demand from the electrical and the electronics industry hit 15,000 units in 2023, making 20% decline. The automotive industry installed 12,000 units in 2023. It's down 7%. Okay, next page. Okay, then the United States. Annual installation reached 35,000 units in 2023. This was down 5%, but still the third best result in the U.S. history after 2022 and 2018. Demand from the automotive industry, the largest customer market, fell by 15% to 12,000 units, which is around the average level of the last decade. The automotive industry accounts for 33% of the total U.S. installations in 2023. The segment showed a well-known cyclical demand pattern. Sales fell by 15% to 12,400 units. Installation in the general industry were up 2%. Installation to a metal and machinery industry were up 8%. To 4,000 units. Installation in the U.S. electrical and electronics industry remained steady at almost 4,000 units. Next page, please. Then let's review Italy. Italy is Europe's second largest market and the global number 6. Installation reached 10,000 units, down 9% from the record year 2022, with a peak at 11,400 units. This was due to a tax credit program that lowered the tax credit in 2023, causing early investment in 2022. Strong customer in the metal industry with a share of 33%. 3,500 units installed were down 7%, but shows a remarkable long-term trend. Actually, they tripled in a decade, up from the 1,200 units in 2013. The plastics and chemical industries grew installation by 24% to 1,700 units, also very strong in the long run. The automotive industry here is only the third largest customer, accounting for a plus of 50%, but the installations were still much lower than the previous investment cycle. And the food industry declined by 70%, but also showed a significant growth over the past decade. Okay, let's go to trend and forecast. Next, please. In the ongoing year 2024, this year, The global economic downswing is bottomed out, I believe. Global robot installations are expected to trend sideways at 541,000 units. Growth is expected to accelerate in 2025 and continue in 2026 and 2027. There is no indication that such overall long-term growth trend will come to an end at any time soon, which is good news. Next, yes. The robot installations will exceed the 50,000 unit mark in the Americas in 2024. Nearshoring of the supply chain will create demand for automation technology in years to come. Robot demand in Asia is expected to grow just slightly to 389,000 units, as the three major Asia markets are expected to trend sideways in 2024. Robot demand in China is expected to remain at 276,000 units, Japan at 46,000 units, and the Republic of Korea at 31,000 units. The robot installation in Europe are expected to fall significantly by 2024. The war in Ukraine, a tight monetary policy, and also a relative weakness of the European automotive industry dampening investment. A double-digit contraction resulting in around 82,000 unit installation in 2024 is expected. But from 2025, installation in Europe are expected to increase again. So this will be the last slide. In terms of technological innovation, robotics is advancing with the five globally overarching, mutually intertwisting trends shaping the future of automation. We see improvements in marketable artificial intelligence solutions at a very incredible pace. The integration of artificial intelligence and machine learning allow robots to perform tasks more intuitively, reducing the need for the specialized robot programming skill, while predictive maintenance driven by AI offers significant cost saving. Then collaborative robots, cobots, are expanding their range of applications, assisting human workers in areas like welding, gluing, and painting. Cobots combined with a mobile robot form mobile manipulators that automate material handling and offer new cases. Whenever transportation and handling tasks need to be jointly automated end-to-end in one device. Digital twins are becoming essential in optimizing robot performance by creating virtual models and that simulate real-world operations. Then research and development of humanoid robot will yield new technological capabilities. They are emerging as a flexible solution for the human environment, with China targeting mass production in 2025, though a challenge like cost and competition still remain. And further information is available in the book World Robotics 2024, just published last month. So if you have any interest, please take a look. Thank you very much.
Now it's my pleasure to introduce our great lineup of panelists for the panel discussion, as I already said, on the robotics market evolution, looking at the global trends and also bringing in the European perspectives. Today with me on the stage we'll be discussing Mr. Domenico Appendino, the president of SIRI. Please come to me on stage. Ms. Marina Bill. She's global head of marketing and sales and head of the product line in software and digital at ABB Robotics. And until yesterday was president of the IFR, so fresh past president. Stefania Ferrero, she's Chief Marketing Officer at COMAU. And last but not least, Yu Wei, Chairman and CEO of Effort Intelligent Equipment. So now it's working. So we've already seen a lot of statistics, and let's have a look at China in the very beginning. It's by far the largest market, taking 51% of all global installations. So how China is performing somehow is an indicator on how the global robotics market is performing. So do you have a perspective? How do you see the economic situation in China today, and do you expect it to recover quickly and return to the previous great growth rate we've seen from that country?
Okay. Considering I come from China, so I start first. Yeah. In my opinion, no matter Chinese economy good or good or bad, I think the Chinese robot market will grow up rapidly in the following 5 years. So basic logic like this: even the economic is bad, all the Chinese production industry, they need to replace humans with robots to improve the efficiency, to improve quality, to reduce the cost. So this kind of trend is I think is already decided. So although there are some trouble recently for Chinese economy, but this kind of trend is always there. So no matter the Chinese economic trend, I think the robot market in China will grow up rapidly. Second of all, according to our information, that the Chinese central government already launched some economic incentive policy in recent months. So you can see that the stock market grows rapidly in the recent weeks, and also nearly all the companies and also the citizens have a great confidence that the Chinese economy will recover in recent years. So if the confidence of the citizens and companies recover, I think the investment for the equipment and the machine tools, also robots, will also grows up. So this is my feeling and understanding. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And maybe Marina, you have to add something with the perspective of the international supplier.
Yeah, as you mentioned in the beginning, I mean, China is 51% of the market, so it remains a really, really interesting market. We have been there now since 30 years, so that the Chinese market is not big is not something recently. It's been an amazing development, as you pointed out. And yes, the last years has been a bit more challenging, but I think it's very encouraging to see also all the new areas in China that starts to digitalize or starts to automate to a higher degree. We see it in areas as education, healthcare, lab automation. So China is on a very interesting automation journey. And as I said, the bit challenging we've seen the last year, this is stabilizing, and we remain extremely confident about the development of the Chinese market going forward.
Thank you. And to weigh you a question, since the Chinese market is currently cooling down a bit, we see that the Chinese brands are actually targeting the European market as well as a new market for growth. What's your strategy to establish yourself on the European market? Can you elaborate on that?
Just to clarify, we are not just a Chinese brand. Actually, we have a lot of Italian employees and colleagues here, just in Italy. So we develop our control system here in Robotics. I think the owner of Robotics, Mr. Montosi, has just joined this roundtable. So considering we are a global company, so for sure we need to go to the European market. I think that we consider European market is a kind of how to say a very high-end symbol market. If we can enter into the European market, it shows that our robots have a high quality. So this is very strategical for FL Group exploration in robotic business. So that's the reason why we are considering to invest more in Europe to establish a service center to increase technician team to improve their after-sales service. All these activities will be implemented next year. So this is our basic idea for the Europe market. Okay, thank you.
Stefania, are you or is COMAU preparing for that market entry of Chinese companies somehow?
Yes, you are never ready, honestly, because of course there is this new wave of Chinese players that are entering the market and are always very well prepared and very challenging. I see many opportunities because also Chinese clients are establishing operation in Europe, and for us it means also business, because we are trying to develop specific applications that may be interesting and are quite unique. So under our point of view, for sure, beside being competitive on the cost side, we are trying really to focus on very specific niches and application. Just to give you an example, because we mentioned before mobile manipulator, we are doing a lot in this sense, especially concerning the heavy industries applications, because we have this DNA inside automotive, and thanks to automotive, we have developed some competencies, for instance, in the welding application. And I don't know how many people know, welding is responsible of about 3 points of GDPs in most of the most industrialized countries. So it's a very important application. Nowadays, no one wants to be a welder anymore. There is a lack of competencies, lack of resources worldwide. And in many cases, welding needs to be executed in very dangerous, polluted environments. And so we see an increasing trend of application of welding done with robots, and not only welding, a lot of operation that needs robots to manipulate things. But welding is a very good example. In the heavy industries, so we see an increasing need in this point of view. And so it is not a way to substitute humans, but it's a way to transform these competencies and enable them. So we do not have welders, but we have robotics operators for welding. So I think this is a very interesting trend that we are trying to pursue, and we are quite unique in that.
Very good. And when we look at the overall development of the European market, and maybe Italy in particular, Domenico, we've seen a sideways movement of installations in the past few years. Do you have an idea what are the reasons for this development, and how do you rate the prospects for the near and medium-term future for Italy?
Well, thanks. We have seen already some number of Italy before, and this year is not a fantastic year for Italy. So I think it's important to read better the number of statistics to understand the situation. In fact, Italian market is a particular market because it was very strong in the past in companies, but companies in Italy didn't grow up so much as industrial robot constructor. But in Italy we have another very interesting phenomena. We can, it is also European, mainly Italian, then European, but also in the rest of Europe is like that we are able to create systems, to create application, so use the robot to be weared to make a specific job. We know very well that robot is doing nothing if it's not a process robot, and need some other else to work with him to go in a company and make his job. And that capacity, for instance, is the capacity that China is founding very well in Italy, and today is starting to buy company and to have another way to enter in the European market, because it is using its capacity to produce to low cost and good performances component, and but the other job is a different job. Fortunately, in a system, according to the IFR data, the value of the robot is 1/3 of the value in media of the system. So we can still do that. If I consider the two companies big company still remaining in robotics in Italy, COMAU and Prima. I was 40 years in Prima, so I follow all the development of this company. So you see, one company who make process robot, Prima, who develop herself having process robot, so a robot who is more a machine than a robot and growing, but after also being very close to machine tool and being in sheet metal, the necessity to buy company from Finland, for instance, that they are making also some other job in the sheet. Or COMAU, that always from the start was a good company making robots, but also with a big experience in the process. So COMAU sometimes also in the world use other robots in their system when it's necessary. So this fact is very important to understand the development of robotics. But now I go to numbers, because it's interesting to see the number for Italy. It's true that this year we have a not nice decrease, but if we go the last 5 years and the years before and after the pandemic, and if you look what, as Italian, I asked the six big five, I mean the 5 plus Italy with the 6th position, we can see that 2017-2022, the average growth of Italy was 8% in sales. Second only to China, we reached 13, but very far higher than the other countries. Germany and USA shows 4%. So it is half of Italy growth. And if I look also Japan +2 and Korea -2. So we are coming from a period of incredible growth in this market, exactly like China, that this year decreased, but is increased so much before that at the end of the story, we have seen a year in which we recover a normal growth. That is what we can say. That is also, if you look at not only the sales but also the stock, that our stock, if I look the stock of Italy in the last 5 years with the World Robotics of this year, we see that our stock is increased practically, let me check again, 7%, Germany 5%. And if we look also the growth in sales this year, I mean the medium in the last years is equal to Germany, 1%. We have another point, and after I stop my speech, is that in these years, all world, and particularly Europe, was living the transition between 4.0 to 5.0. And unfortunately, in Italy, was a very poor management from the government about that operation, because they announced the 5.0, people stopped to work with 4.0, and the 5.0 is now perhaps clear what we can do. And because we have to use the Fund of Europe that will be ended at the end of last year, obviously will be practically fake. So we have a big lack in internal orders, not in export. So Italy is still an export company, and I hope in that situation we can very soon retake value reasonable like in the past, but not in this period exactly like in the past, because it's a very complicated period for everybody in the world, mainly for Europe, because the world are not ending but increasing, mainly in this day we see what is happening. For Europe is a big problem. Thank you.
Thank you. So we basically grow from a very, very high level already, so it's challenging to top that every year. That's also what we at IFR typically see, that it's at some point it's difficult to add on every year. So we already heard about great opportunities. The kind of lack of staff in welding is a great opportunity to automate in Europe. We heard about the great process knowledge we have in Europe, so there are great opportunities for further growth and investments. Domenico, Appendino, you already mentioned the regulatory impact. So, Marina, How would you rate the regulatory environment in Europe, and how is it shaping the growth of the industry further?
I mean, firstly, Europe has a very special position when it comes to technology innovation, and especially in the automation area. And when we talk about regulation, I think we have to really there is the regulation to protect consumers, and there is the business-to-business regulation. And it's really important that we don't mix up these two things. And we've seen several initiatives now of really protecting consumers, which I think is very, very positive. There is also a lot of positive things with business-to-business regulation, but we have to make sure in Europe that these regulation does not dampen the growth and the compatibility of Europe as a region. And this is a very important balance part to look into. But there's big opportunities still, and again, the technology development in Europe remains, I would say, the big motor of how the market will develop.
And if we leave Europe now to see where our growth perspectives beyond that, we just 2 weeks ago had the World Intellectual Property Office of the United Nations publish their Global Innovation Index. So that's an index ranking countries by their innovation performance. And they are having robotics, industrial operational stock of robots actually as one of their key performance indicators. And Switzerland and Sweden, probably not a surprise, are among the top performers in that countries. But they are also looking at newcomers in that industry, so smaller countries that are actually growing stronger than other countries do. And among those, we saw India, we saw Vietnam, Indonesia, Thailand, also Turkey from Europe. Stefania, do you see that as interesting markets for automation, and how do you rate the importance of those markets?
Yeah, I see definitely them as an increasing arena for automation. Again, looking at the numbers. If you think about South Korea, on average, you have 1,000 robots every 10,000 employees. The average worldwide is about 140, more or less. In India, at the moment, you have 7 robots every 10,000 employees. And if you imagine that next year, India will grow about 7% of GDP, and a lot of industries are, of course, growing a lot. For sure, this represents a big opportunity for robotics. Similar trends also in Vietnam, where the average, again, of robots is around 14. Thailand, Malaysia, that is more industrialized because the automotive industry has been developed some years ago, even if not at the same extent of other countries. Turkey definitely looks again growing in this sense. So many opportunities. Just to give you an example, beside automotive, that is and remains, even if there are many discussions nowadays about the strength of automotive, but automotive is and remains the most automatized sectors worldwide, and will remain for a while, even if the CAGR of automotive in the next year is lower. But in these countries needs to grow. Thailand has just announced a plan for automotive industries and also for decarbonization until 2030. Likewise, India looks very active. And also energy sector represents a big opportunity because beside electrification, all in all, they are also investing deeply in green hydrogen production, in solar, even in small installation. But this is something new where you need also robotics, you need batteries, you need to produce batteries and to bring them there. So everything represents an opportunity for robotics.
And I think we should acknowledge that every country that starts the automation journey, they will just continue. It's not that you start and you stop. We see that with the robot density, as you pointed out. But every country is special and is on their own path of the automation journey. And maybe the countries that you just mentioned, they have seen a very positive effect and is expected to see a very positive effect because of the reshoring and nearshoring. Sure. That is a clear trend the last years, that having the production closer to the consumption, and that I think will make a big difference how certain countries, especially in parts of Asia, but also part of the world, where the automation journey will pick up even quicker due to the reshoring and nearshoring.
Yes.
So diving more deeply into what the customer needs are as drivers for automation. Yue, how would you rate what are the burning issues your customers have? What's driving them to automate?
I think first of all is how to use robot to replace people to improve the working efficiency. But the problem right now is the robot is very difficult to programming. So if we can make the robot more easier to use, I think this will drive more and more company to use more robots. So how to integrate modern AI technology to make robot more easier to program? That's I think it's a very critical point we need to think about carefully. Currently in China, more and more niche market, they need a robot, but they do not need a teach pattern. That means they need a very simple apps like what we use every day with our mobile phone. They need a very simple apps, and with a simple operation, they can run the robot in a semi or fully autonomous way. If we can achieve this target, I think more and more market they will use robot. More and more industry and more operators they will prefer to use robot. If we still use teach pattern make programming, I think few operator is willing to transfer from the normal manual way to robot programming. So this is I think the very hot point. Now I think we have a chance to do that because use a large language model, we can communicate with the robot in a very natural way, and also with many advanced technology with AI, we can make the robot more smart. They can do the job in an autonomous way. That means with a specific application, with specific products, they can change the program, change the parameters according to the different shapes, different position automatically. So with this technology, a few technicians need to be implemented for the robot changing. So this will help us to use more robot in many niche markets. Okay, thank you.
You would like to add something?
Yeah, and about this, this is something this is definitely a trend that we are also catching quite deeply, and this is why, as a company, we are cooperating with Google Intrinsic to really develop a sort of low coding or even no coding for robots to really oversimplify operation connected to robots, because this is a specific pain points that was underlined by many clients of us. Beside that, for sure, especially for Europe, but not only, there is an increasing demand of sustainable products and also a lot of repurposing and retooling of robotics. We approach them also from the perspective of builder, but also as integrator, because we have both the process, we have also a lot of process competencies, as said before. So for us, it's a super interesting trend. And I already mentioned, of course, the fact of democratizing robotics and use it to substitute to the lack of workers, and also work on education, because we really believe in utilizing robots to really work on education 360 degree, professional education. Also, we are providing trainings, not only in specific heavy industry mentioned, but also we are offering trainings for STEM scientific topics from the kids at the school until 99 years old, basically. And we are also offering trainings for high-level instruction. So we had Harvard last year. We hosted them. We will host them also in other occasions. So I think there is increasing use of robotics, even in sectors a little bit unexpected until some years ago, not only in the industrial pace, that is and remains absolutely fundamental. And the last point is also energy. whatever we can do also to make certain technologies viable, because robotics and automation is a way to decrease cost. And so it's a way to make viables some technologies like hydrogen, for instance, that would not be attractive otherwise.
So the SMEs are one of the big challenges the robotics industry is addressing as a big customer industry, since there seems to be the large industries going in a kind of saturation, but the SMEs offer a huge market potential. But at the end, it's probably more difficult than it sounds in the beginning, and it's basically a very long tail of customers that maybe are also quite high maintenance. So what else can we do to address this challenge?
I think SMEs, yeah, we can see them as a challenge, but also as a huge potential. I mean, the SMEs are the ones who probably have gone through the quickest automation journey the last years to different levels. And of course, as you pointed out, the ease of use is of course extremely important for any SME. And ease of use is not only when you use the robot, it's also already which robot do I need? How should I install it? How should I maintain it? Who should work with it? So this ease of use is to a whole life cycle of robot. And I just to see some initiatives that we've done in IFR also lately with the Go for Robotics, trying to help SMEs. How do I start my automation journey? Because a lot of SMEs don't know where to start. And once they started, it's not that easy. But where do I start? Do I just call up a robot supplier and ask for a robot? Or what do I actually do? And where do I have the best business case for it? So I think with a higher degree of knowledge about robots, at the same time as the robots getting easier to use, easier to install, easier to upgrade, the more we will see SMEs in all areas. And I think that's also one of the most interesting parts, no matter where you are in the world, which type of SMEs, because we talk about them as if they would be one group of companies. But an SME who is a bakery or an SME who is producing machine tools, these are very, very different types of SMEs. But I see it as something very exciting, but we as robot suppliers have a big responsibility here to really make sure that our robots are easy to use, not only easy to program, but easy to use from the very start to the end, so that it will make life easier for SMEs, and in the end, so that they can grow quicker, and with that also the whole economy would benefit from it.
So where are new interesting sectors that come into play? What would you say? Do you see something in China coming up, new industries that do go into robotics?
Yes, actually, we have met a lot of interesting niche market. For example, in their welding, we met a lot of different shapes of pieces. Usually, we cannot use robot to do this kind of welding because now the piece is the same. So they need a program piece by piece. So it's very time consuming. But with the cutting-edge AI technology, we can make the robot to program automatically. So this kind of application, we will meet in many industries like the engineering machine industry and also the shipment manufacturing industry. So the steel structure industry, all these industries, they need this kind of capabilities. They can make autonomous programming for the robot. So I also for this topic, I also want to add more comments. How to make our robot more smart, more autonomously. First of all, I think we need to make the robot system more open. That means we need to involve all the system integrators can make development for the apps very freely. And now I think most of the robot system is very closed. They provide few SDK and API to the system integrator, and system integrator cannot make a development freely. So what should be the future? The future should be an open system, but of course for the safety function should be closed in order to make everything under control. But for the other parts, I think system should be very open. We provide all kinds of interface and SDKs, APIs to the integrators, and integrators can program apps accordingly. And all these apps will cover the request for all the long tail market. And then the customer, the end user in this long tail market, can use these apps in a very convenient way. They do not need to make programming with the teach pattern. So if we can achieve this, we will see many niche market, long tail market. They will not, in the past they cannot use industrial robot. Now they can start to use robot to replace humans. So let's go back to the topics. We did a lot of this kind of innovation in steel structure, manufacturing, welding, polishing, and also we make some testing in the kitchen service. They make the food in a very fast way with this kind of technology, because if we make some special dishes, the process is different, so you cannot make a standard robot to do this kind of job. So you should prepare special apps for the special dishes and special food. So this is also a very interesting market. They need this very open system and easy programming technology. Thank you.
I think there's still large market segments that is not automated at all. Take the construction area, one of the largest industry sectors in the world. It's going to be very exciting to see how construction starts the automation journey. I also think the whole area of education and how robots are being used in education, not only in university level, but also really in school level will be part there. And another area that I see coming very much is in the area of healthcare and lab automation. But when robots comes into these new areas, it requires a little bit of another way to work with. We have, for instance, a partnership with Mettler Toledo, a lab automation company, and we are co-creating what is a solution with robotics and lab automation. How could this look like? And I think that is one of the keys of opening up new market segments for robots, is this co-creation, since every type of business and business process and application is so different. So it requires also here a little bit of another way of thinking and another way of working in a more open and ecosystem type.
Yes, thank you. Only one point. We are sometimes too much connected to the division between industrial and service robot. And now we are living a period in which practically the difference is not existing, because with the cobot, I mean with this kind of robot out of cages, we have so many areas of the world in which the robot can enter that before we cannot think that. So that is the very important point, that today the limit is the fantasy. I know that, again, considering the capability of Italian to be people with fantasy, people that can apply that, I know from some our associates that the country in which they found more application for cobot was Italy, because we invented the cobot to make ice cream, for instance. Though we don't invent the cobot, we invent the application. So I think that we are living a period in which there is a lot of possibility to enter in new application. Industrial robot, classical industrial robot, have already an history of 60 years, so it's not a new boy. It's somebody who's working already with university degree and so on. But the other still have to find their future, and the future, in my opinion, is very brilliant. It's not a case that looking in here, in which the robotics industrial is decreased. If we look at the cobot are decreased, but less than the other. So that means that in this period still there is a growth of that. I think in any case that we have more and more to consider all the robotics together, because in fact the difference is very, very light. It starts to be very, very light.
Which is indeed a challenge for us to do statistics, because it's more and more, it's getting harder and harder to see, is it a service robot, is it an industrial robot, especially I think the field you mentioned, the construction, is that now when you do manufacturing in the fab, then it's industrial robot. If we go on the construction side, then we tend to count it as a service robot. So it's really blurring. So, but on one hand, while it's a struggle for us, it doesn't really matter if it's opening up new markets. And I think it will be really interesting times ahead of us to look at those new coming markets. These new markets, of course, are also driven by the main trends. We've seen the 5 big trends the IFR has looked at for this year, and we each year we review what are the overarching trends, and certainly I think AI is one of the lasting ones that will stay on our top list for some years, has been before. How do you see the impact of AI on the future of robotics?
Definitely, because I already mentioned our cooperation with Google Intrinsic really to push further application of artificial intelligence on robotics to remove and make programming easier. And also because robotics needs to be nimble and be able to learn to execute tasks in an easy way. And for sure, this will be a dramatic, I would say, new inside the market, and this is something we really believe, and it's a trend that we need to pursue at any cost. And of course, all digital twin connected, so the digital world in general is determining really a Copernican revolution in the world of robotics. So for sure this. So we are working, and of course cooperation in this sense is fundamental, because you cannot have all the competencies in-house. So this is why we are trying really to cooperate with software experts, with artificial intelligence experts. This is why we have a big name like Google working with us, because basically we are iron people, so very good on the mechanics. Of course we have control capacities, but of course when you go at such level, you really need to have the guys of software working with you end to end. And so this is also relevant to attract talents and to be able really to keep the pace of these trends.
I think what we see is that the trends we've been talking about a lot of years now, they are still there, and they're not getting less important, even maybe we don't mention as often. Labor shortage is a big issue, will continue to be a big issue, and automation is one of the only answers to that one. We're living in a world that is more unsecure or more unpredictable, and also they're here to having robotics, reshoring, nearshoring, and then the whole digital environment where robots cannot be seen as a standalone, either in a manufacturing site or a service site, but has to be part of the whole digital network. But these are more the trends that, fighting insecurity, uncertainty, labor shortage. On the positive side is really the AI trend. And we've just started here, and I think we will see this will bring robotics to the next level. And we haven't really seen all the possibilities that can bring, but bringing together more classical robotic technology together with AI technology and machine learning that we've already done for several years, this really can offer everything from the SMEs to really more large global companies, new ideas and new ways of using robots. And just looking at a special area like quality inspection, what we can see happening with quality inspection with AI together with a robot is amazing. And there are so many of these use cases already existing, but I would assume most of them we haven't even come to think about yet. So for sure, AI is a trend we will see for many years. And I really think this will bring robot to the absolute next level and continue to make sure that we're growing.
Only to say that I completely agree with you, and because AI really open new possibilities, so open new market. And the word is that I don't want.
Okay. For this topic, I also want to add some comments, because for FR Group, we have invested millions in AI research. But I still want to emphasize that there are many obstacles in front of us to use AI in real industry, especially for industry robot. The first obstacle is about the data. We need a high quality data to train the neural network, but unfortunately, to collect data in the real industry is very difficult. Also, it's a high cost. So if the data issue cannot be solved. I think that we cannot implement AI in a very efficient way for the real industry robot. Second of all is about the computing architecture. Because currently all the computing architecture for the industrial robot is CPU based. But in future, if you want to use AI, you should integrate with many sensors. It should be a multimodal sensor like the force sensor, vision, and tactile. All these sensors collect data and make feedback. You need a high efficient parallel computing. So use just a CPU-based architecture cannot meet the request. So we need a hybrid architecture, CPU plus GPU. But unfortunately, this kind of architecture not widely used in industrial robot industry. So I think this is one of the most important topic we need to solve in the following years to which can allow us to implement implement the advanced algorithm for robot industry. Okay.
To what extent do you expect that the recent developments we see in humanoids will have an impact also on industries like in the industrial and the service robotics sector? We see huge investments in the humanoid industry, though they are still at very, very early stages in their development. But we see the huge investment by a private sector in the US. We see huge investments by governmental organizations and also institutional investors in China. How's Europe preparing, and how do you rate the opportunities that lie in the development of humanoids? Domenico?
That is a very difficult task, humanoid, because that brings us to a past. We know that robotics is not born in industry, but is born in literature. The literature of last half of the first half of last century. Remember me a lot of science fiction in which robots was humanoid like we consider today, but that was fiction, was not reality. Today the reality is the fiction of this time, but not exactly like was at this time. The point is that the man, for the influence of this literature, this art, these movies, and so on, has in his mind as a robot, somebody, a clone of himself, who can do everything he wants, speaking simply what he wants, and perhaps also with an aspect nice and the like. But that's not the reality. And there is something that can be very logical for what we think, what we have in ourselves in terms of sensibility, but not from the point of view of industrial robot. And now we are speaking industrial robot in a real sense. Because we have not to forget that the robot, what they are doing until now are cutting for the man all the jobs. They are not good for him, dangerous, repetitive, and so on, so that everybody of us know. And that kind of robot, they are not humanoids, take out this job to the man in the factories. But who can say that the human body is the perfect architecture for make automatic job in the company? Who is made that? For 60 years, we find a way to use some other different concept and machine to help the man not to make the job. What can be the right architecture or the right architecture? Perhaps only one who can do that. So, at the end of the story, is something that is more ideas, sensation, but it's not really interesting, because everybody can understand that if you have an automation that has a few 10, 20, 30 axes, can be manageable. But if you want 80, 100 axes to make something that really is similar to a man, cost can be absolutely incredible to have something, at least at the moment. So I think that for reason of cost, results, perhaps they are doing that because it's very nice, because from the marketing point of view, it can be very easy to attract people. We have not to forget to go in the direction of research, obviously, but is not the real solution short term of that. Sure, if somebody will do in the future humanoids that can make the regional cost a job similar to many, so you have not to think how to adapt the job for the architecture of the robot. But now Cobot is already enough flexible to solve this first problem. But a humanoid sure will have a cost in respect to the performances that cannot be acceptable in the industry. I'm old. I remember the history of CIM, computer integrated manufacturing, 40, 50 years ago. But at the end, we make flexible system, flexible cell. We make flexibility in the company different way because it was too much, absolutely too much costly, so was not logical for the company. So I hope that will be progress in that field, but we have to consider the company, the factory from their real need, and we have to take care of that in a very reasonable way.
Do you agree it's just a hype, or do you see humanoid robots in Chinese factories in 3 to 5 years? What do you think? We've seen over 30 companies presenting, showcasing humanoid robots at the World Robot Conference just recently. So what's behind that development? What do you think?
First of all, I fully agree with these comments that it's not necessary to use human robots in real industry. Because humanoid is not a new topic. We can see that in Japan, UCIMU already developed 20 years ago. Also here in Italy, IIT developed a humanoid more or less 20 years ago. So humanoid is not a new topic. Also another hot word in this area is embodied AI. Embodied AI is a word invented by the people coming from artificial intelligence field. But embodied AI is also not a new word. It appears in the paper by Turing, I think more or less 50 years ago. So what our idea is, the key point for humanoid is not the shape and architecture, hardware architecture, but the intelligence level of the robot. The robot should act like a human beings in decision, in learning, but not need to have a humankind shape. Because if we want to use it in industry, we need to consider about the cost. But if we add 2 legs for the robot, seems that 2 legs they cannot have any function and return back. So most of the tasks can be done, implemented by the dual arm, even with 2 hands. So nearly 90%, we make a statistic, nearly 90% of the tasks in industry can be implemented by 1 arm plus 1 hand. I mean, a 5-finger hand can do nearly 90% of the jobs we can meet in the industry. So what the legs can do. So in future, I think the most important is dual wheel plus 1 dual arm, dual hand, this kind of human-kind robot with a real smart mind behind. I mean, real smart mind means AI basement can support the system to act like a human beings. So this is a key point. So the shape architecture not the most important, but most important is AI behind. Second of all, why the Chinese market is so hot. Also, USA, they trading a lot for this humanoid because a lot of people believe that humanoid will go to the home service area because humankind robot is a very standardized architecture. Let me say a generalized architecture. They can act like a humans to do nearly 80% of the job in your house. For them, cleaning the kitchens, washing the floor, washing the clothes, and clean the floors. All these kind of job can be done by humans can be replaced by a standardized robot, generalized robot, which the shape should be a humankind. So with this purpose, we need to develop a robot that a general architecture. For example, now we have a washing machine for the clothes washing, the floor cleaning robots with a very stupid shape, a round shape to clean the floors. But if you want to develop all different kinds of robot to meet the different requests of the jobs in your house, you need a lot of different kinds of robot in your house. So you do not have so many space to make the robot live around you. So what you need is only one robot. One type of robot is a humankind robot. They can do nearly every job in your house. So this is our dream. But unfortunately, in order to achieve the dream, we need to make more investment study in the intelligence level, the artificial intelligence level behind. Otherwise, the robot cannot do the job in a proper way. So this is the conflicts and the how to say, the gap between the dream and the reality. The dream and the reality. So, but considering this dream is huge, because if we can achieve this target, seems that the robot will be another end products. What is end products? The first generation end products is cars. Second is mobile phone. The third generation end products is humanoid robots. So they will be a huge market, huge quantities. And what is more exciting is all the software and service apps running on these end products. That means different kinds of apps running on the humanoids. So it's a really sexy and exciting market. So that attracts more and more investment in this field. But from a technical point of view, I think we still have at least 10 years to achieve this dream. So let's see what will happen.
Let's talk back in 10 years and see whether we have our household robot. I think many of us would love to have that. Domenico.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Yue, because he remembered me an example that can be interesting to report to the audience. The first humanoid who make a concert, like a director of orchestra, was Asimo Fonda in 2008. And he has a great success. But later, the Yumi ABB directed in Italy Bocelli, and he was not an humanoid. He was a typical robot that was made with two arms. There was no arm. It was two clamp to articulate the arm. At the end of the story, the results was the same. They directed perfectly everything. There was no intelligence AI. There was nothing. What was the difference? Asimo greet the people, enter by themselves on the stage. So give the feeling of to be a man. So that give a typical example of that is so important. But sure, in a house is logical, but also that show a big difference for the mentality of Far East and East. In Far East, the humanoid is very popular. In East, less, for a lot of reasons that are connected to the concept of animism on other stories that are culture totally different. Because if you come in Europe and you want to give your mother who is very old to somebody who follow her who is a robot, nobody will do that. Perhaps it's a yes. And perhaps they are right. I don't pretend to be like that, but it is a very difference of the two culture of the two areas.
Yes, the cultural impact certainly has a strong influence on the development, but we'll see where it's coming. I promise you will have the chance to ask your questions to the audience. Is there a question you would like to ask to the full group or one in particular? This is not to be the case, seem to be the case. So Well, then let me ask one last question to all of you. And this is a question that all of you get, so I'm curious to hear the different answers. If you look at the next decade and you have the chance to give one piece of advice to either company or policymakers to stay competitive in this now evolving robotics landscape, what would that be?
Okay, I start. Be able to cooperate, and this is especially a message for Europe, because when I look to US, because as a company we follow all the three regions. So when I work at the Chinese market and when I work at the American market, I see always operators that work together and are very well coordinated. And even when I look at the market under the client's point of view, they are more homogeneous. When I have to work, especially to Europe, there are varieties of exception country by country, and even the approach, the technical one, changes country by country. And considering that we are also active both in robotics and the different technologies, application and also on the process side, I see that, especially in Europe, if we been able to cooperate more intensively across the different value chain in the big sectors, we could achieve more. Because if we want to keep the pace of China and North America, we have to cooperate, because there are a lot of exceptional competencies in very specific niche in some parts of the value chain in many sectors, but we are still not able really to cooperate across countries and really put these competencies inside the value chain and really cover the entire value chain. I'm thinking about the batteries world, where there are a lot of some sub-application of robots, but I see extensively to the construction business that we mentioned before, where the modular construction will come, to the energy sector, where there are a lot of competencies, a lot of processes, a lot of possibility to develop specific application of robots, but maybe you have very small companies, highly specialized, but two alone, and mixing up these competencies, we can really have a more effective go-to-market. So this is, for me, the key to succeed and stay competitive for the next decade, especially if we talk about Europe.
Yeah, I wouldn't limit it to Europe. I think we should look upon things globally. And as I mentioned before, I think in order to succeed, it's another type of co-creation needed, involving academia, schools, education, sub-suppliers, suppliers, customers, system integrator. And the co-creation part is what brings technology further, and technology for the best of humankind. And that's more the, how to work together that will lead it forward. But I think generally for all of us, in order to have the biggest development, is that we stay curious. Because if we don't stay curious, and if we assume things and jump to conclusion what will happen, then we limit ourselves so much. So I think as corporations or as human beings, in order to stay competitive or in order to grow, to never lose that spark of curiosity, I think that will bring us further.
Only one recommendation is more general. Remember always that robots are tools, not companion work or other strange stories. Are tools, fantastics. Also, the robot with the most important artificial intelligence of the future, and the sensitivity, thanks to artificial intelligence, fantastic, is always a fantastic tool in the hand of the man. He has the responsibility always.
Okay, my comments for next decades is considering the technical revolution is coming, we need to open our mind to think large about the future. In my opinion, in next decades, the total market quantity for robots is not just 1 million globally. Perhaps it will be 100 million. I think with the AI basement, we can make robot to do everything. Let me say, nothing is impossible for a robot in future.
Thank you so much. Thank you all the 4 panelists for their contributions, for their insights they shared with us today, and for their future perspective. Let's give them an applause. Thank you so much. And for the audience, if you're interested in the trends and in the cooperation between academia and companies, stay here for the next roundtable, which will be focused on research and the technology trends. So that will be next on stage in 5 minutes. Thank you very much and have a great day.